This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. I don't have the hat back. My head's got to recover. That was weird. That's stupid. Yeah, why not? I mean, maybe I don't want to wear hats sometimes, right? People got to recognize me without the hat. Yep. So today we did the Day 31 and 32 of the Jodi Arias trial over there. Or maybe it was 32 and 33. I can't remember. What was it? 29? I think 31 and 32. So it went pretty good. Had to go to the dentist and get my tooth fixed. Well, it's not fixed. They fixed it before and they're just checking in on it. Like there was nothing wrong with my tooth, but there was irritation around it. And it was kind of loose, so they were just like, why would it? So they did all this weird, like, laser stuff. And I don't know. That was about a month and a half ago, and maybe 2 months ago. And then I just went in there for them to look at it. So there you go. Yeah, you know what's weird? I think I absolutely have COVID brain. You know, like. I meant to send Dana Dane an email, and then I sent it to Tosh, and it made absolutely no sense to her. You know, it was like, and it wouldn't. You know, it's just weird. You know, I don't know what's going on. I think you know, when you copy, you get an email and you copy it, and then you paste it. And then, let's say you try to copy something again, but it doesn't take the copy. I'm wondering if that's what I did. Yeah, so now I've got that, plus remember how I was marking all the tests that I took, and then also the drive, where I just started driving, and I didn't know where I was after a while. That was weird stuff. Yep. Well, it goes away apparently after a while. I hope. Anyways. Yeah. So you see up there, you see the stream goal, and I'm the super freak currently. Somebody can take me out up there if you want to. Right. So today there was the Bryan Kohberger hearing. I have that, and then also Keegan Kline's attorney, like, stepped away from him. I mean, then I'm trying to work in, like, what the hell is that all about right there? And then their cold missing person case from I think 1984 of, I think, Lewis Mackerly. So there you go. Yeah, it is sort of a weird thing. It seems like you're just sort of, I don't know, you do things that you wouldn't normally do. It's odd. Strange. Okay, so here is the press conference. Flip over to there. This is the Bryan Kohberger one. I try to make it louder and fix the audio. Who knows?
All rise. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, I gotta be. Hold on. I gotta be honest though. The judge doesn't really inspire me. He seems kind of almost like a doofus, you know. Like just he sat there for like a minute trying to pronounce Kernodle, you know, and he just seems this is way bigger than he is. This case here, he needs to. I think someone needs to pass this on to somebody with at least appearing to have more sort of experience and ability to just communicate. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but man, I was just like, whoa, 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 this is weird. You got like a serial killer case, and you're gonna have somebody that's like that. Gray, he did this and he did that. Okay, well, he doesn't do well here. And he says, this is hard. What's hard? Pronouncing a name? Or what are you talking about? No, there's just one hearing.
We have some people on Zoom here too, so okay, let's.
Thank you, Jessica Schubach.
Thank you. Okay, we are now on the record in State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, CR 29222803. Mr. Kohberger is in the courtroom along with his attorney, Ms. Taylor. I believe also part of the team is Jay Logston and Elisa Massa, who is participating by Zoom, I believe. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Latah County Prosecutor's Office, or Prosecuting Attorney. Ms. Jennings is of that office too, Latah County Prosecutor's Office. Also, part of that team is Ingrid Beatty and Jeff Nye, both from the Idaho Attorney General's Office. I'm John Judge. If you don't know me, I'm the Latah County District Judge, and I'll be presiding over this case. So, Mr. Kohberger, you've already heard a lot of what I'm going to tell you at your initial appearance, but I'll repeat it to you because it's important, and I want to remind you of these issues. So I'll briefly cover your rights, the charges against you, and the maximum penalties if you are found guilty or if you plead guilty. So I'm going to start with the rights. You have a constitutional right to have an attorney represent you throughout these proceedings. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, then one is appointed at public expense. Ms. Taylor and her team have already been appointed, so that's taken care of. You have a right to a speedy and public jury trial where the state would be required to prove every element of each charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. At that trial, you would have the right to cross-examine the witnesses called against you. That means to see, hear, and question them, to call witnesses to testify for you, and if you choose to testify in your own defense. But you're not required to testify because you also have a right of silence. That right is protected under the Idaho and federal constitutions, so you can remain silent throughout these court proceedings, and that can't be held against you in any way. What you do need to remember, though, is that anything you do say, other than to your lawyers, could be used against you in a later court proceeding. Do you understand that? Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You also have a right to appeal any final decision of the court. In order to exercise that right, you need to file a notice of appeal within 42 days of that final decision, or that right is waived. Also, if you are not a United States citizen, any finding of guilt in this state could have adverse consequences to your legal status.
Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
Any questions about the rights?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kohberger. So let's go to the indictment. Do you have a copy of the indictment in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you see in the heading your name there. Is that your correctly spelled complete name?
Yes, it is.
Is that the correct birth date underneath your name?
Yes.
Are those the correct last 4 digits of your Social Security number?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to read you the charges on the indictment, starting with count 1, burglary. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-1401 and 1403. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. Count 2, murder in the first degree. That is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill.
Yeah, a couple times he smiles, but then the smile disappears in like an eighth of a second. It's weird. It's like he doesn't actually know how to have a genuine smile. It's sort of like, this is what I'm supposed to look like. Probably practice in front of a mirror. And, you know, as soon as it's not needed anymore, it just goes away. There's no residual. You know, like everybody else in the world, when they smile or laugh, it kind of fades off. It's a little bit like how Mary Lou does it when she does her fake cry and then on a dime says, yeah, I'm okay. You know?
I don't do that, Gray. That's bullcrap.
Well, everybody's heard you do it.
And murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. Count 3, murder in the first degree, a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kayla Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing Kayla Gonzalez, from which she died. Count 4, murder in the first degree. That's a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Alleging that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Zana Kernodal. Excuse me. This is hard. I'm sorry.
What's hard? The reading of it? You're not pretending that you're getting emotional about it.
Zana Kernodal.
I mean, come on, Judge. That's so ridiculous. Okay? I don't mean to be, but I mean, I don't say everything right on here, but I'm not a judge sitting in a courtroom. It's just not respectful at all. I think it's stupid. I mean, I don't know what. If I was somebody, I'd get a new one in there right away. Somebody that's really confident, you know, that is just going to do it right. This guy already has lost confidence, I think, in a lot of people, just the way he sounds in here. Oh, this is hard to do. What's hard to do? What are you talking about?
A human being by stabbing Zana Kernodal, from which she died. Count 5, murder in the first degree. This is a felony under Idaho Code Section 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. This alleges that you, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died. This is signed on May 16, 2023, by the presiding grand juror. So now I'm going to go to the maximum penalties of each
Yeah, I think you said
charge,
Kayla for Kaylee too.
starting with count 1, burglary, minimum 1 year, up to 10 years in imprisonment, fine of up to $50,000, or both fine.
I don't think he said it because he was emotional. He doesn't sound emotional whatsoever. He sounds like he's just struggling to do what he's supposed to be doing.
And imprisonment, restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from the crime.
He doesn't know them.
For counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, murder in the first degree, maximum penalties, life in prison, or the death penalty. Fine of up to
Well, no, but it is
$50,000
disrespectful
for
revengeance,
both fine
regardless.
And life in prison or the death penalty.
Yeah.
Restitution for the victim's economic losses resulting from.
So you'd be okay with at a wedding? Do you, Cindy, take? It's Kathy. Oh, okay. Do you, Samantha? It's Kathy. Do you, Kathy, take? That's disrespectful as hell. Okay, you're going to be doing something this important. You got to practice that stuff. Now we cover cases where we're reading through documents and shit, and maybe the name of a town. Yeah, I screw up on those all the time. But I'm also not a judge sitting in front of, like, in a real official arena. Okay. I think it's ludicrous. I mean, it's just. I mean, two different names in a hearing you say wrong. So no, I don't care what. Everyone always tries to make excuses for people. It's weird, like that. Oh God, they were just nervous. Well, then he shouldn't be the judge. Okay. If you're nervous as a judge, then you can't do a case like this one. I mean, you remember the judge in the Murdaugh trial? That guy was never nervous. There wasn't even a second of nervousness in that guy. Okay, that is the caliber you need in a case like this. You can't have a guy kind of going, oh God, oh God. He's the one that won't let it be televised because he doesn't want to look stupid in the courtroom. So what we really want is a judge that can control the whole thing and, keep things moving along, and maybe he'll even allow it to be televised.
Crime, also additional fine of up to $5,000 to be paid directly to the victim's families. If you are found guilty or plead guilty on each charge, and the maximum sentences are imposed consecutively, that means one right after the other, you could be facing 10 years in prison, followed by 4 consecutive life sentences or death penalty, fines of up to $200,000 and $20,000 to be paid directly to the families with any restitution resulting from the crimes. Okay. Mr. Kohberger, do you understand the charge in count 1, burglary?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 4, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 5, murder in the
Yes.
first degree? Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, is Mr. Kohberger prepared to plead to these charges?
Your Honor, we will be standing aside.
Okay, because Mr. Kohberger is standing silent, I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on each charge, counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, at this juncture, the state has 60 days to give notice of intention to seek the death penalty. And Mr. Kohberger has a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy trial. So let's start with you, Ms. Taylor, and then Mr. Thompson to discuss some scheduling.
Your Honor, we'd ask the court to set this trial at the very outside of the speedy trial, right? We're not prepared to do anything but ask the court to do that today.
Okay. Count it out, and that will be November.
I have not counted it out, Your Honor, but I believe that would be about November 22nd is when the state will run. Maybe November 20th, something like that. So I'd ask the court to set it for an October trial date.
How long do you think it'll take to try the case?
My best guess is it would take at least 4 weeks, maybe 6.
So you'd like me to set this for a 6-week trial?
At this point, I would, Your Honor.
Yeah, they do it all. They do the silent thing. It happens sometimes, right? And it's like people are making a big deal out of it. Every second, oh my God, it's a silent declaration. What does it mean? You know, basically, if you you don't say anything, it immediately defaults to not guilty. You know, it's not like you can say, oh, you didn't say anything. Oh, you're guilty. Yay. And it's all over. Yeah. So that's all it is. There's some, decent points. One of the points somebody made didn't make sense to me, that he's trying to negotiate for later where he can plead guilty but take death off the table. No, if that's true, he just would have said not guilty and then done that later. The not saying anything has nothing to do with that element, but I think it did. One of the points somebody made was that it lessened the agony in the, lighten the mood a little bit in there. Not like where people were happy, but he didn't have to say not guilty, where the family goes, screw you. It's just, that's it. Right? So there wasn't any sort of emotional backlash in court for that, really. That was one of the arguments somebody made.
Well,
Thank you, your gypsy.
in order to do so, I will have to get rid of some of the other jury trials I have, but this is more critical and more important. So, Mr. Thompson, what's your...
Those trial dates are workable for the state judge.
Thank you.
Yeah, this guy did it.
About October
Okay.
2nd, starting.
Now, yeah, everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but I believe he's guilty as hell by reading the probable cause document.
Yes, sir.
Anything else we need to address?
And so did a grand jury.
Not with regard to the trial setting, no.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
I just said what the strategic move.
Nothing to say at this time, Your Honor.
I think it just doesn't have his voice saying anything. Also, he's not saying I'm not guilty. Well, the only option he was going to say was not guilty. Okay, so him not saying it out loud, it's pretty. I mean, I don't really understand it because it defaults to not guilty. So him not saying it, maybe it allows him, he might start trying to plead not guilty by insanity later, but he didn't want to say that yet. They want to see what the evidence is, so it's either going to be not guilty or not guilty by reason of insanity, but he wasn't able to come up with that yet, so they didn't say anything, because now they're going to look at all the mountain of evidence and go, they got you, man, they got you. You want to go the insanity route? Maybe you can talk about the visual snow and all your incel type lifestyle where, you struggled throughout your entire life with various people and blah, 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 blah. Okay? I think that might be the only strategic part of it, is that he might be not guilty, but maybe he'll try to throw an insanity part in there. No, he's guilty as hell. I mean, I think it's amazing the comments you get. Gray, you're so naive. Really? How about I have a brain?
By the way, I do want to
Thanks, K-Me.
let everybody know, if they don't already know this, that once the grand jury issued the indictment, preliminary hearing scheduled to start on June 26th was no longer needed and was vacated. So some people are confused about that. So I thank counsel and the media and the public for your attention and respect. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
Well, there he goes. I was just starting over again. Okay, so it says a judge entered a plea of not guilty to all charges for Bryan Kohberger at his arraignment Monday, more than 6 months after after police allege he fatally stabbed four my computer's yelling at me. He's kept doing it over and over and over again. University of Idaho undergrads in their off-campus home. Deputies escorted Kohberger into the courtroom at 9 a.m. where he stood before Judge John Judge. That's what you guys are joking around about, like the bailiff is named Bailiff John Bailiff. Yeah. The defendant, wearing an orange jumpsuit and no handcuffs, smiled at his defense attorney, Kootenai County Public Defender Ann Taylor. Well, if you call that a smile, sure, yeah. And sat quietly. He nodded as judge read his rights out loud. Taylor's being contracted to represent Kohberger in Latah County. Excuse me, I'm kind of low there. Where the Moscow student slayings were carried out because of her expertise in handling capital murder cases. Taylor said they would be standing silent, so the judge entered the not guilty pleas for the charges against Kohberger. Standing silent means the defendant does not take a guilty or not guilty stance, but has the same outcome as pleading not guilty. Right. Idaho lawyer Edwina L. Cox, who previously represented cult mom Lori Vallow, noted that because Kohberger did not enter a plea, this might give us an answer himself, his decision to stand silent can be a tactic to continue negotiations with the prosecutor. Why? I don't understand how that gives you any leverage whatsoever here, because it defaults to not guilty. That means you go to trial. I don't understand that. How does that give you leverage by just not speaking that out loud? I don't see it, man. Every time I hear this said today, I'm just looking at it. How does that give him leverage at all? Basically, it's the same thing as if this person was actually a mute, where he couldn't speak, and they just said, not guilty. I really don't understand. Can you tell me how that gives him leverage? It doesn't. Yeah, but I mean, that he's saying not guilty, it makes him look more guilty, because I think it's exactly what I was saying a minute ago. where they're going to wait and see what they got on in the cards there, and then maybe plead not guilty by reason of insanity. So they didn't want to have something already out there. Huh? Don't ask Chat GPT, please. That thing is, you guys are nuts. The father of the victim, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Steve Gonzalez, and Ben Mogan shook hands after Monday's hearing at the Latah County courthouse. Those are just nightmare trips, you know. Kaylee's sister, Olivia Gonzalez, said it was important for her family to represent Monday's hearing. And there they are right there. Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, Zayna Coronado, Madison Mogan. Thank you, Betty Smith. Really? Some have said that BTK did that. Alright. I remember when people were making fun of me because I thought he was trying to do a little bit of Bundy and, you know, who knows. And now that seems to be the prevailing thing, that he was imitating a serial killer. You know what I mean? Like, that's what everybody's saying. And I was just picking Bundy because Bundy went from Pennsylvania to Washington, and then he killed people in, I think, even Oregon, Washington, Idaho, or let's see. Yeah, Idaho. And then, what was it? And then Utah and Colorado, right? I think those are the places, but I don't know if Idaho was one, but I know Utah and Colorado. So he goes down there, and yeah, in Florida, obviously, but I don't know. It's interesting how he started his drive home going south down through Utah and Colorado, where at one point he was within 20 miles of one of Bundy's kill places. You know, so you just kind of wonder, like, man, was he going on some weird homage on his way home? Or was that the best route? I mean, I don't know. It was weird. Just a second. Got to get the background music going. So which one is it? This is NBC here. Idaho college students slaying suspect Bryan Kohberger stands silent as judge enters not guilty plea on murder charges. I mean, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I cannot picture how there's an advantage by being silent. It just means that you didn't pick one. So neither are good. Guilty is really bad, and not guilty means you're going to be going to trial. And it defaults to that. So the fact that it defaults to that gives him no leverage at all. Right? Or is there something in the law that if he speaks something, it means something else? I don't know. Thank you, Lily. Bryan Kohberger, the suspect accused of fatally stabbing 4 Idaho college students, stood silent in court on Monday. Well, he didn't really, you know, that's what it's called there, but he spoke about 10 different times in there. Monday, as the judge entered not guilty pleas on all murder charges. His trial was tentatively set to begin October 2nd by Latah County District Judge John Judge. So here's the thing. Does anybody really believe, we said this yesterday, that this trial is going to start in October? Or I'll do a poll on this one. Here, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to give you a couple options in here. When will the trial... Here, let me do it over here. I can put more options. This thing. There you go. There's people that actually think it's going to be this October. Those are people that are wishful thinking. Yeah, I definitely could see mid 2024 or later, something like that. Look how long it took Alec Murdoch, for example. Jodi Arias took 4 or 5 years. Cindy, that's not answering the question. It's already pleaded not guilty, Cindy. Were you not paying attention? No trial unless it's to change his plea in October to guilty. No, that it goes. Okay, yeah, but your comment up there didn't match anything that we were talking about. All I can think of is how long it took for Lori. Yeah, look how long it took for Lori and Chad Dave. All these people do every single time is, and how about Keegan Kline, for example? How they're just saying stuff like, it's, you know, they just, you extend it by little tiny things. Oh, you know, and now Keegan Kline's attorney is leaving him. So what happens next? Does he have to get another attorney? And then that person has to be briefed in on everything. And that's going to be another year out just for this stupid trial right here for him. He's already guilty, basically. He even pleaded guilty. But now his attorney left because he thought, well, I want to look at some more stuff. I guess apparently, you know that 190-something page document that we read? Apparently it's that document that he somehow hadn't seen yet. How weird is that? Well, hey, Cindy, I've got that every night. I mean, like I told you before, I dated the COVID tests in April, July 27th, July 28th, July 29th, July 30th, then May 1st, May 2nd, September 23rd, September 3rd. And my brain never looked at it and went, oh, wow. You're way off. I mean, every day I looked at those things, and it wasn't until later where it was like, oh, wow, you are not firing on all cylinders. Why do they want to keep extending their trial? Well, because jail's a lot softer of a place than prison. So, you know, you're sort of moving around, things are happening. When you're in prison, that's it, man. It's done. You're done. You're there, and that's just what you're going to be doing. I think being in jail kind of... Well, here's the thing. Is like, let's say Keegan can keep extending his time in jail. He just keeps extending. It's a lot easier, right? Then eventually when he gets sentenced, let's say they give him 10 to 15 years, and they go, well, you've already served 8 in jail, so we'll put you in there to 2 to 7 in the prison, and you'll be up for parole in 2 years. You know, something like that. So you just keep extending your jail time. Now, if you get life in prison or something like that, well, it doesn't really matter at all after that. Your time served doesn't really mean anything. You just did get to have a few more comfortable years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in jail you're just kind of waiting for trial and go to hearings, and it's just it's basically a holding jail. And then I guess for lower crimes you do just serve your time in jail. You don't make it to the state penitentiary. When judge asked Kohberger to enter a plea at the arraignment, defense attorney Ann Taylor stood up and declined on behalf of her client. Your Honor, we will be standing silent, she told the court. That prompted the judge to enter not guilty pleas on the defendant's behalf. I still haven't seen anybody give me a really good strategic reason why. Well, let me just type it in. How is standing silent on a plea beneficial? This is somewhere else. At an arraignment, a defendant is asked how they plead to crimes charged against them. The defendant can plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute. Hey, I even used the word mute earlier. Standing mute means a defendant does not take a stance on being guilty or not guilty. They remain silent. Like you have the right to remain silent. Standing mute or remaining silent has the same effect as pleading not guilty because a judge or magistrate will enter a not guilty plea on the defendant's behalf. Okay. Okay, let's see what this says here. Criminal defense attorney Sarah Azari defended Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger's decision to remain silent during his arraignment, calling it a smart legal strategy that wasn't fueled by personal nefarious reason. Huh? On Monday, Kohberger was arraigned on burglary and murder charges in the November 13th killings of Moscow, Idaho, where 4 University of Idaho students were found dead in a student rental house. When the charges were read, the 28-year-old declined to enter plea as his public defender announced that he was standing silent, prompting the judge to enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. The decision to stand mute raised questions about whether Kohberger was trying to avoid facing the death penalty. I don't get that at all. What does that have to do with anything? But Azari argued that so let's see what she's saying. But Azari argued that there are absolutely advantages to standing mute. When you learn about the legal strategy behind this, you will know it's for good, not nefarious reasons. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait, I think she did say this one about how it... Okay, let's see. There is no written legal advantage that by standing mute, you're going to get something or you're not going to get the death penalty, Azari said in an appearance on NewsNation. As it stands, Idaho is a death penalty state. The state has not sought the death penalty, although they certainly can. We're still in the middle of discovery. Instead, she said the decision to stand mute was a smart strategy to appease the families of the victims and showing some form of remorse. Okay, that's what I told you guys at the beginning. This is the same lady that was talking about that. So, I mean, really? Is that what we're getting out of this? That's some smart strategy showing remorse? Wouldn't remorse have been, I'm guilty? I did it, Your Honor, and I'm sorry for everybody. How does that show any kind of remorse whatsoever? I think it's just, this is a defense attorney, mumbo jumbo talk where everything's sort of a great little strategy that we try to come up with. But nobody out there thinks that, right? I mean, I sort of see it a little bit like, okay, you didn't say not guilty right in the face of the family members. Sure, okay. It just, I don't know. I don't buy that as this great move. And so what's weird up here, it says, the decision to stand mute raised questions about whether Kohberger was trying to avoid facing the death penalty. But Azari argued that there are absolutely advantages. Okay, absolutely advantages. What are they? Okay, well, here's what it is. The state has sought the death penalty, although, it says instead, she said the decision to stand mute was a smart strategy to appease the families of the victims and showing some form of, how is that a smart strategy? So the family goes, you know what, Judge, he was so kind to us by not saying anything at the hearing that we want to take death penalty off the table. Okay? Wow. I can't see the death penalty anymore because he was so nice for not saying anything. we say silence is golden about leaving the door open so that if this is a really bad case in terms of irrefutable evidence. Yeah, okay, so there you go. We say silence is golden. It's about leaving the door open so that if this is really a bad case, if terms of irrefutable evidence, see, I was just saying that a little bit ago, and he does in fact ultimately plead guilty in exchange for the death penalty to come off or whatnot, that he's not now, he's not now pissed off for hurting. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying I just said that. I just made that almost jokingly. So you're saying that later on, once the evidence comes in, he'll probably end up pleading not guilty by reason of insanity or guilty, and you think because he didn't plead something there, it just showed this amazing person, Bryan Kohberger, and we need to take death off the table. But he might negotiate it, and the family might agree. So I guess, it's so minutely helping, in my opinion. So I guess he could plead guilty, but before that, he'd cut a deal with the family, and maybe the family would say, no, we don't want you to do that. We won't take the death off the table. Let's go to trial. Because a lot of times they let those kind of decisions be up to the family. You say, hey, he's going to... Because once it goes to court, you have to then look at all the photographs of 4 loved family members that were all killed. All right, hey everybody. So what you see on the bottom of the screen, in the bottom left-hand corner, is my nightly goal in here, where I raise funds for my channel, and we do a lot of great things with it. Okay, it helps me out too, but we also do a lot of great things with it, including $148,250 to true crime-related charities that I give from my income. Okay, so whenever you guys donate to the channel, it goes directly to me, and I donate to charity if I feel like it. But it turns out that I've donated over 50% of the net revenue to various true crime-related charities, including a DNA fund that we are currently have 4 cases that are being funded, and then 2. I think we almost have enough money for another 3 more sitting in there. And some of those we don't get any. There's no glory on it. Like there was a serial killer. I think this black man was a serial killer. He killed like 10 black women that were all sex workers and drugs and things like that. And one of them was never identified. So we identified her, and we just never get, the family doesn't want her name out there though. So we don't get to ever put that out there. All right. So it's up to you guys on this channel. You guys are the sole income on a nightly basis. There is no ad revenue on these live streams. Despite, even if you see a video, an ad pop in, there just never is. So, all right, thank you. Let's see. It makes no legal difference in the case, former federal prosecutor and elected state attorney Michael McAuliffe told Newsweek. The silence likely reflects some personal decision by the defendant not to address the court other than to state he understands the charges. Should the state decide to seek the death penalty in the case of Kohberger, legal experts say it's possible that he changes his plea to guilty in hopes of lowering the penalty. That's what... Okay, so I guess strategically, if you're making a deal with the prosecutors, it just gives you a little something like, hey, I didn't say not... I don't know, but what would have been bad if he'd said, I'm not guilty, out loud? I guess that would be sort of perceived as arrogant later. He said he was not guilty. Now he's pleading guilty to get the death penalty off the table. You screw that. But if he doesn't say anything, I kind of see where they're saying. Now he doesn't say anything, and then later on, if he pleads not guilty or pleads guilty, they might look at the fact that he never said that he was not guilty as a positive thing, right? and merely the courts had to put not guilty in there. But the thing is, he knew that. I mean, I can kind of see it now. It's really weak, though. It's like a really incredibly weak negotiating tool when he butchered 4 people with a K-bar knife, right? In Cruz's case, the jury ultimately decided to spare him and send him to life in prison instead, a decision that left the victim's family shocked and angered. Azari said because Kohberger did not publicly state not guilty like Cruz did, he could avoid some blowback should he change his plea. Families under Marcy's law have considered voice regarding plea agreements and whether the prosecution will seek the death penalty. Staying silent rather than affirmatively pleading not guilty might help with those negotiations. Okay. I can sort of see it. It's sort of like really like, oh, I got a better golf club. I got a better glove for my golf game this weekend. It's a little stickier. Oh yeah, okay, great. Is it going to help you that much? I mean, maybe, but it just doesn't seem like it's that great. All right, I'm going to switch cases here. Okay, we're moving over to Keegan Kline. Thank you, Yee, and Shogun Love up there. I don't know if you could do it that way. You have the right to remain silent, and then you're guilty if you remain silent. That'd be kind of weird. Yeah, well, Cindy, help out. You know, you got it. You're always telling everybody else to help out. All right, so here we go. Listen. I just put the little goal up there on the screen. If you guys want to help, you help. I'm trying to avoid it having to do with anything. I just want to do the show. Okay, but that's the only thing that allows me to keep doing what I do all the time, and that's it. I'm alleviating my stress. Okay, so let's see on the next pass. I don't know what that means. So, anyways, this is Keegan Kline right here. Defense attorney files motion to withdraw from Keegan Kline case. Keegan Kline will need a new representation. Andrew Akey, who had represented Kline as he awaited sentencing last week, filed a motion to withdraw from the case. He probably just got so tired of it. Akey, with a judge's approval, will be removed as the counsel of record. And you know what that means. Akey sent Kline a letter informing him of the move. His client is currently housed in the Miami County Jail. It was my pleasure representing you in the above-mentioned matter and truly wish you the best of luck moving forward, Akey wrote to Kline. If you have questions about this or any other matter related to your case, please contact me at my office. Thank you for following me and my office to help you with your case. Let's see. It's the latest development in a case that appeared to be nearing an end. Let's see. Kline has agreed to plead guilty to 25 counts related to child exploitation, possession of child pornography, identity theft, and obstruction of justice, with sentencing hearing held on Thursday, May 18th. However, sentencing ended up delayed by more than an hour as his attorney met with the judge. So is that the attorney that just immediately says, okay, I'm done? And the prosecution discussed the case. The move came after Kline revealed he hadn't seen certain evidence against him. How does he not have the evidence when he was there? Apparently. The move came after Kline revealed he hadn't seen certain evidence against him and was having second thoughts about pleading guilty. The evidence involved transcripts of an interview with Indiana State Police in which Kline discussed his social media contact with minors through a fake account called Anthony Shots. That's that big 190-page document. And whether he communicated with Libby German the night before she died. Right. Well, it says that in there. I wonder why he's looking at that. I wonder if he's going to try to... Let's see. Yeah. Well, they're the ones that said to him that he contacted. Now he probably wants to see the evidence that shows that he contacted Libby the morning of the homicide. I wonder if that's what he is wanting to see now. Kline had agreed to plead guilty. Okay. However, sentencing ended. The evidence involved transcripts of an interview with Indiana State Police in which Kline discussed his social media contact with minors. Libby and her friend Abby were found murdered in Delphi in February 2017. While Kline has never been charged or named as a suspect, he's become linked to the Delphi murder because of the interview. Richard Allen is charged in the case. Yeah, but it's not just that. You know, it's not just that. He was communicating with Libby's phone. and Libby, the Anthony Shots profile was. Just right the same weekend. And apparently even the day of. That's not really the way they worded it right there. Akey told Spar last week that he was unaware Kline hadn't read transcripts of his own statements to police. Prosecutors, for their part, characterized Kline's claims as a delay tactic. Right, I just said that. He was there. He was in the... It's ridiculous. It seems like he's just doing more delaying. He wasn't ready to be in prison yet. So... Anyways, that's it for that. Any comments on that one? I don't remember if this is the... Yeah, I think it's this one. The main screen that I was using before. No. Let's see. Let me get the... Let's do the Lewis Mackey case now, alright? Gotta get back onto something old school. I don't really have more to just keep adding here. He testified his own trial? I don't know. Well, we don't know if he'll testify in the Richard Allen case because they've never really said that they're related. But I think they are related. They have to be related. I mean, it's... The odds of Keegan Kline not being connected to Richard Allen in some way are so low that it's almost mind-boggling. Look at him dancing on that street. That's pretty good. All right, this happened in Pennsylvania in 1984 here. Missing person. So here we go. You guys ready? Yeah, and the reason I'll just say for you, if you don't show up to my channel very much and you haven't heard me say it, I'll just do the quick thing, is that Keegan Kline's account, the Anthony Schatz profile and the Emily Ann account, but specifically the Anthony Schatz profile, was communicated with Libby. Turns out Libby really liked the person. And it's amazing that then all of a sudden Richard Allen, he claims with his own words that he was there at 1:30, which is only 18 minutes or so before Libby got dropped off. So it's almost like the person knew he was on a mission too. He passed the three girls, head down. He was on a mission. Like he knew when somebody was supposed to be there. Then, so that's coincidence number one. But it's the same day, though, that Keegan Kline, using the Anthony Schatz profile, wanted to meet the girls. And then later says the only reason he really didn't get to meet the girls is because some other person randomly killed them. Okay, that's number one. Like, that is absolutely crazy that a catfishing account didn't get to meet Libby because some other random killer killed them. Or wouldn't it make more sense that the Keegan Kline account actually communicated with the Richard Allen's account to get him to go there at the time that they were going to be there? Then you have years later where you have Keegan Kline's in jail, and then he gets removed from jail and put into the state police custody and brought to a specific facility to talk about the wider pedophile rings, because Keegan Kline's Dropbox led to the largest pedophile ring, or one of them, in Indiana state history, one of the largest. So he had a Dropbox account that led to that. Then he went to this building with all these federal agencies, and then right at the same time they started searching the Wabash River in, let's just say, I think it was in August. And then they went all the way up until like late September or something, looking in that water. And then I think on October, I might be having the dates wrong, but I thought it was like October 12th, they searched Richard Allen's home just 2 weeks after ending their search in the Wabash River. And so now we're saying that that's a coincidence too, that after all these years, just 2 weeks after searching the Wabash River because of Keegan Kline, they search Richard Allen's home, and then it leads to his arrest and the murders. I think they're connected. So you have two really unlikely coincidences happening regarding Richard Allen and Keegan Kline. All right, there you go. They never said what they found in the river. Oh, one the gorilla. Yeah, probably not. All right, so here we go. Missing boy's family awaits hopes, or waits and then hopes. Okay, hold on. Let's see what they say. We got to go stay on the Keegan Kline thing really quick, because Allie Cake just sent me something. Keegan Kline, the Murder Sheet podcast, shares what made him rethink guilty plea. So it says, Keegan Kline, the child porn suspect who told a judge he may want to withdraw his guilty plea, says evidence that someone else accessed. Well, yeah, but you already knew that. Remember, it was your dad. You remember? Someone else accessed Anthony Schott's social media profile as part of the reason behind his decision. Right, because that's in that document. That's not a sleuthy thing to have figured out. Yeah, I mean, that's... News 8 reporting partner at Murder Sheet podcast released jailhouse interview with Keegan Kline. Right, that was 198 page, or whatever it was, 194. Let's see, News 8 reporting... let's see. The Murder Sheet podcast released a jailhouse interview. So they interviewed Keegan Kline? I'll have to check that out. In the interview with the Murder Sheet, Keegan Kline points blame at his father, Tony Kline, for accessing the account. Okay. Well, so, yeah, this is funny then, right? Because this is what we've always said. It might come down to the last minute where Keegan finally tells what the truth is here. Because doesn't it seem more likely that the Emily Ann user who was trying to get girls to hook up with 45-year-old or older men, doesn't that seem more likely that that was used by Keegan's dad, and then maybe he's the one that is in communication with a similarly aged person in Richard Allen at the time? What do you think of that? So this is all stuff that we've talked about before. I'm just not throwing out the dad's name too often just because he's not really in there, but I'll have to check that out. I'm going to definitely have to go listen to that. In the interview, let's see, so if you've seen the transcripts from my interview, I think in 2020 with the state police, if you read that, you can see that they know someone else was involved, Kline said. They say to me, they know it for a fact, 100%. Yeah, I know, but they're not saying you didn't do it, the other stuff, because you admitted to doing that other stuff. And what's creepy about that is Wednesday morning I got paperwork that I've never seen. I've never seen that transcript ever. Well, I know, but you were there, right? That's right, Jeffrey Hausauer. And yes, you guys, you too can help support the channel and reach the nightly goal where we're just barely hovering around 30%. Let's see. There's stuff that says on every single device my dad logged in with his email. Now, that doesn't say that in that document. There are messages that say, "Hey, will you Skype me?" And there has only been one Skype call on those phones that say Tony Kline.
You called it one a long time ago. Great.
Well, thanks. Yep. He says that he apparently overheard Akey's secretary say during a phone call with Akey that they're not 100% sure they sent everything. Let's see. So this is kind of interesting here. What is this transcript of what? Oh yeah, that's the 194-page document. Yeah, we did a full reading of that on here. Kline also alleges that his father has been charged with a lot of really messed up things, even with children. See, isn't that weird? This is all stuff we know Kline knew, but he never said anything. Now he's finally, the shit's hitting the fan, and now he's got to do something. Thank you, Peter. Okay, Kline also alleges that his father has been charged with a lot of really messed up things, even with children. Kline tells Kane and Greenlee that his evidence paperwork, which he claims he did not see until Wednesday morning, shows Tony Kline apparently having accessed Keegan's devices. Chewbacca?
I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
There's stuff that says on every single device, my dad logged in with his email. There's messages that say, "Hey, will you Skype me?" And there's only ever been one Skype call on those phones that say Tony Kline, whatever the numbers are, Kline said. I don't know, I don't really understand that part. Kline says that he had not seen his transcript until Wednesday morning, and that he's upset with his lawyer, Andrew Akey, for withholding the paperwork from Kline during the 3 years he's been in prison. Well, it wouldn't have helped you, because you admit to all the other stuff. That information was just related to the murders, and this trial isn't about the murders, Keegan, so it really doesn't make much sense, what you're saying, to be honest with you. He says that he apparently overheard Akey's secretary saying during a phone call with Akey that they're not 100% sure they sent everything. And I just looked at Akey like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I know you're a public defender, but you have an obligation as a lawyer to get me all my stuff, Kline told Kane and Greeley. According to Kline, without seeing his paperwork, he discussed going to trial the entirety, going to trial the entirety of the case. What? Akey allegedly told Kline he would not be given a deal prior to Kline's court appearance Thursday, but on Wednesday morning, Kline claims Akey then told him, well, maybe we should have taken that 10-year plea deal. See, there you go. Akey allegedly told Kline he would not have given a deal prior to Kline's court appearance. Kline, he would not be given, Thursday. But on Wednesday morning, Kline claims Akey then told him, well, maybe we should have taken that 10-year plea deal. Right. Well, that's probably, maybe Kline thought that was just too much if I'm helping you guys. Kline tells Kane and Greeley he was unaware of any plea deal and claims Akey told him to agree to the guilty deal to get a lesser sentence. See, I think there's something here, even though it's not official, where they're cutting him a deal. Kline ultimately tells Kane and Greeley that he did not know Richard Allen, the suspect in the Delphi murders. I don't know, man. Something associated with Keegan Kline led to Richard Allen. And by the way, Keegan Kline lies like most of us breathe. That's what he does all day. Some stuff he tells is true, some of it isn't. In February 2017, police say 13-year-old Abigail and Abby Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were murdered near the Monon High Bridge. He also discussed with the podcast that he met with the prosecutor in the Delphi murders case, though the meeting happened a while ago. Kline says the meeting with the prosecutor and police officials in the past was so he could share what information he did have on the Delphi murder case, but claims they wouldn't believe him. Meaning, you said you didn't have any? When asked about the list of charges against him, Kline admitted to the podcast host that he only committed maybe 7 of the 25 charges. See, that's a lie right there, right? I mean, it's all documented shit. Kline also admits to Kane and Greeley that he did talk to underage girls, but attributes his loneliness to the decision to do so. Well, no, but you even admitted in that 194-page document that you were so happy to get that you contacted girls, you got their images, you play with yourself and do all these different things. You were pretty graphic, Keegan. I hope these guys would fight when they were talking to him, that they actually tried to get him to tell the truth here. Let's see. Kline also admits to the murder sheet also spoke to, let's see. He knows Tony Kline. Oh, come on. Tony Kline is one of them. I'm not going to read. The most technologically challenged people I've ever met. And his accessing the Anthony Schatz profile doesn't make sense. Right, of course. I would look at any accusations of Tony using Keegan's devices very carefully, because Tony told me once he wouldn't even have known that device. Well, of course he's going to tell you that. But why would there be another person that's 40-something years old trying to communicate with little girls there? And Keegan is like 20-something at the time, right? Yeah, so they're saying that Rick Snay from Delphi After Dark knows Tony Kline. Really? Come on. Snay also told Kane and Greenlee that Tony Kline was apparently vehement when denying Keegan's claims against him. And so, oh, so he was vehement. Okay, he didn't do it. This is ridiculous now. On Friday, Kline's lawyer, Akey, submitted a motion to withdraw from the case. Kline says on the podcast he personally requested Akey no longer represent him, and he is still willing to meet with the new lawyer assigned to him. Kline has until Friday night to file a formal motion to withdraw his guilty plea. Oh, so that he has until Friday to do it. This story has been updated with quotes. Did it? There he is. Ew, Jesus. That really...
And we're following...
Okay. Anyways, there you go, everybody. That's it. We're now switching over to the Lewis, I think it's Lewis, Mackerly from 1984. I haven't gone over it yet. Well, I don't know. I think he might. I mean, how come we haven't heard this that he knows him? And all of a sudden he knows him, and he knows that he's technologically. I don't know, man. I just have a hard time believing it, Keith. But hey, you never know, you know. You never know. They're the crew that thinks it's Ron Logan. Okay. So it's hard to really take anything they say seriously since they think Ron Logan's the killer. All right, that's insane. So he might know him. It's hard for me to believe it though. So let's see. I guess I didn't get to see what the poll said on it. Okay, the poll said earlier that Kohberger, 2024 had 52%, October 28, which is shocking that people really think that, and then 2025, 13%, and then 2026, 5%. Yeah, I think it's 2024 is probably the best chance, but if it gets into 2024, then those other go up. 2025 and 2026 odds go up because that just means he's tactically. But you know, if he's trying to work a deal and the evidence is overwhelming, and he might plead guilty, then it could be quicker. You know, you never really know. But if he pleads not guilty. I don't know. It's just these cases almost never happen fast. Okay. Sometimes, usually when her mother least expects it. This is in, what the hell is this? It's in Pennsylvania, Allentown. It looks like. I think. It says, sometimes, usually when her mother least expects it, little Sheila Mackerly walks over to the window of the family's second-story Allentown apartment, and with the kind of innocence and sincerity that belong only to a 3-year-old, demands, Lewis, get here, Mommy wants you. Get in here, Mommy wants you. But no matter how many times she calls, Lewis Mackerly never answers his younger sister. That's because Lewis, a 7-year-old hyperactive child with a history of learning and emotional disabilities, is not there. He has been missing for 100 days, presumably kidnapped in broad daylight from one of the streets in the neighborhood of aging row homes around Sacred Heart Hospital and Allentown Central Catholic High School. Let's see. For Harold and Sheila Mackerly, the parents, it has been the most agonizing 100 days of their life. But at no time is the pain of having lost a child and not knowing where he is, or even if he's dead or alive, so great as when little Sheila calls out the window for her brother, or looks, ever so innocently into her mother's eyes and asked, "Mommy, doesn't Lewis still love me?" It is at times like these that Mrs. Mackerly, whose first name is the same as her daughter's, has to muster up all her strength to keep from breaking down and crying. That's when you find your difficulties getting to you. Let's see. You're just on the verge of losing control, says Mrs. Mackerly, who attempts to conceal her grief from her 3 other children. So I think this kind of goes through the whole story here. I wonder if all this stuff's still going to be there. Last scene, Marco, 429 Gordon Street. Let's see what that looks like. So this is going to be the house right here. How close that other pin is. What's this one? 7 Sirens Brewing. It's a straggler. Come on. I'm going to close it down and open it back up again. Might take a minute. Thank you, Music Maker. Been one of those weird nights tonight, that's for sure. No rhyme or reason. Some nights are just the way they are. Alright, let's see. Let me open this up over here. Gonna go there again. Oh, God. I gotta do it again. Let's see, it was 429. That whole thing didn't get saved.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
Cool. Okay, 429 Gordon Street, Allentown, Pennsylvania, right there. See, the map, everything was dead on there. Yeah, well, that's crazy. It looks exactly the same. Look at that. Is that crazy? Marco's hot dog. I think that's probably the Marco's Yeah, that's probably the Marco's hot dog sign. It's right here. It's funny. I always like when they don't change things much. Last seen by proprietor Marco's doggy shop. So right here, probably that Gordon right here is last seen. .429 West Gordon Street. Okay. I want to make sure I have that in there. Let's save it. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back to the first page and read the last paragraph of that one and flow into that one. That's when you find your difficulties getting to you. You're just on the verge of losing control, said Mrs. Mackerly, who attempts to conceal her grief from her 3 other children. Yeah, I got that. Mackerly. And this is a pretty long article here, but so she waits until they're in bed, then she cries, mostly at night when the children are asleep, she says. Then you're able to sum up your emotions, your aggravations. For the Mackerly's balancing those emotions has become a tightrope act. On one side, let me zoom in. I can barely see this shit. There we go. On one side are the anger, fear, and depression that now fill the space once occupied by their son. On the other, there is a need to remain strong, to keep up their hopes and maintain the clear thinking essential to continuing the search for their lost child. You go through many emotions, from the want to break down and just cry to knowing that you can't, because if you do, there's no way you can help your son. So you have to remain strong, Mrs. Mackerly said. Strong as they may appear on the outside, the unrelenting pressure has taken its toll on the inside, perhaps changing their lives forever. Yep, missing persons cases presumed dead are the worst that there ever are. Or at least until their son is found, dead or alive. See, even finding the son dead is better than what they're going through. The timing of the incident, which coincided with 2 well-publicized cases in which mothers are accused of killing their children and then reporting them as missing, heaped added pressure upon an already tense situation. For a time, the Mackerlys felt they were suspected of having done the same thing. Allentown police and the FBI said that they were never really suspects, and that the Pacquioli case in Easton was not the reason the Mackerlys were asked to take a lie detector test. The voluntary test which the Mackerlys passed was just normal investigative procedure, the FBI said. Well, unless they didn't pass, right? Nevertheless, the strain of having undergone a grueling, they say at times, intensive questioning of their personal lives has angered the parents of the missing child. Then there were the idle comments of people they had never met, just like on social media and Facebook, who said the parents were guilty, while Mrs. Mackerly stood only a few feet away in their neighborhood grocery store. And the rumors, like the one that had Lewis' badly decomposed body being dragged from a New Jersey river, it turned out to be false. The child was a 3-year-old girl. Perhaps worst of all were the rumors. When they're saying "were the rumors," I mean this. He just went missing, I think, right? Or is this? Let me make sure. When did he go missing? I mean, it's strange because the earliest I could find him in the paper. Let me look something up. Hold on a second. wonder if it was 1983 that he went missing. No? Was it before that? No. So it is right, but it's weird how they're talking about it like it's so long ago. But this is the first article that I could find. Louis Mackerly is by all accounts a friendly child, perhaps too friendly. His mother said of the 7-year-old who would walk right up to anybody, even a stranger, and say, "Hey, I'm Louis. We're friends." He isn't afraid of anybody, Miss Mackerly added. But his teacher, Cheryl Schechner, described Louis as a loner who didn't join in games with the other first graders in Central Elementary School. He was no discipline problem, the teacher said, but Louis has a learning disability interwoven with his hyperactivity, a condition for which he was taking Ritalin, a mild stimulant that helps calm hyperkinetic children. Louis, who had difficulty paying attention in class, was to be transferred to a learning disability class this fall. Hilaneri, a neighbor with whom the boy spent a great deal of time, said he has difficulty writing. Sometimes he would write upside down or backwards, but the woman he called Grandmom said the boy was making progress with reading and arithmetic, and he was doing beautiful artwork. Let me see where I want to get to the factual part of it. While Harold stuck close to home, Louis spent more time out of the house. He didn't start worrying about Louis until about 9 to 9:30, and usually when you went out the door looking for him, he was on his way. I think this is where it starts up here. FBI agent Richard Fritz confirmed that Louis told a school nurse of an incident and later told it to Thomas Langdon, a psychologist for Lehigh Valley Guidance Clinic, who was working with the boy in a special program for low-income children with learning disabilities. Miss Schechner said she alerted the school nurse when she started noticing things about Louis, who his parents say seems to know a lot about sex for a 7-year-old. The Mackerlys say he didn't learn it at home. Mrs. Mackerly, who learned about the alleged incident at a parent-teacher meeting, so was there something right here? One of the stories little Louis was telling was of how he was sexually molested last January by an unnamed couple who Allentown detective Arthur Beers says the boy said pulled down his pants and spanked him down near the railroad tracks on Jordan Street. That's pretty weird. Miss Mackerly, who learned about the alleged incident at a parent-teacher meeting, had the boy examined by a physician. There was no sign of sexual molestation, but the family alerted the police anyway. There are differing versions about where the incident happened, whether there may have been more than one, and indeed if it happened at all. Fritz, who believed there may have been more than one incident, said the boy said he was asked to perform unnatural sex in an apartment where he was taken by the couple who later dropped the boy off on a street somewhere. But Beers, who interviewed the boy in early April after he was brought there by his father, says Louis told him the couple had an apartment in Allentown, but never said he was taken there. He said the boy told him the couple had a dark blue or black station wagon, not a green one, as he told his parents. He had an attention span of about 5 seconds. After that, he would go on to another subject. The police checked out the Jordan Street area, but say there were too few details upon which to launch a major investigation. Both the FBI and the Allentown police think there is little chance of a connection between the molestation if it took place and the boy's disappearance. Investigation found that Lewis was last seen by Carmen Marco, who operates Marco's Doggy Shop at 429 Gordon Street, around the corner from the Mackerly home. Marco said the boy ran into the shop at about 4 p.m. June 7th in an effort, so this was June 7th, 1984, and the first article I could find was September. 4 p.m. June 7th in an effort to escape two older kids who were chasing him. He stayed about 45 minutes, then went out the door and walked east on Gordon Street. So that's Gordon Street. He was walking, so he's walking in this direction. Walked east on Gordon Street. That's the last time anybody, at least anybody who will say so, saw Lewis Mackerly. Giacob said the police located the two kids, who were about 12 and 13 years old, but concluded they were not involved in the boy's disappearance. Giacob said there had been numerous leads from all over the country, largely because of posters with the boy's picture that have been circulated by several groups active in locating missing children. A new poster offering $10,000 reward has been printed and will be circulated soon. Sounds like he just absolutely disappeared into thin air, a predator out there. Yes, that's him right there. The person or persons who abducted 7-year-old Lewis Mackerly from near his Allentown home June 7th did so for financial reasons. That's the theory of a private investigator, David R. Riggs, 33, of New York City, so maybe sex trafficking, who has begun an organization, Search 7, with the hope of finding children like Lewis who were abducted by strangers. He calls it Search because, unlike other child-finding organizations, that's what Rigg wants to do, and 7 because it's a lucky number. In an interview in Allentown yesterday, Riggs and Lewis Mackerly would be the first child he would search for. He said the boy's family isn't paying him. Riggs has spent several years working with runaways on the streets of New York in connection with graduate work he has done for Columbia University, from which he received a master's degree in sociology. He became interested recently in the growing problem of child abduction. So this is more about like an organization here. Let me go to the next page. Let's see. Riggs stresses he wants to break no laws in his search. Says he can operate on lunches and detectives could never work with. Wait. Riggs stressed he wants to break no laws in his search, but says he can operate on hunches, not lunches. I was like, that doesn't make sense. A detective could never work with. Okay. I can sit outside a home for 24 hours and just watch. If nothing happens, nothing happens. The police would lose his job if he did this. After some preliminary digging in Allentown, Riggs said he has received information that strongly suggests that money changes hands for the purpose of obtaining Lewis Mackerly and removing him from Allentown. The person or persons who received the money made it possible for Mackerly to be removed unseen from the streets at Allentown. See, that makes sense. A person who just wanted a child around the house would have never taken such a chance. If the person is not of sound mind, then chances are he or she would have apprehended by law, Riggs said. Anyway, so this guy's trying to help. It sounds like a plausible. Yeah, I can do that one. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit here. Now, one of the things I thought was interesting is I think that's the dad right there, and that's the mom. And this is 1985. And then I think in this one, that's them again. I mean, yeah, that's like completely aged them. You see the difference there? I mean, that's only 19 years, but they've gone through hell at this point. Thanks, John Dunn. Not sure how much longer the show's going to go, but I appreciate it. Kind of tired.
I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
Late fee. Hello, Greymods, freaks, and friends. We'll rewatch later. Thanks.
Isn't that crazy right there? He was last seen leaving Marco's doggy shop on Gordon Street at 4 p.m. the day of his disappearance. Over and over, they've been high with anticipation only to sink back into the depths of depression when a lead turned out to be a case of a mistaken identity. And with about 1,000 sightings everywhere from Canada to Mexico, it has been an exhaustive process that has at times worn emotions thin. You get very depressed. After the kids go to bed, you cry, you go outside and curse everybody, she said during a recent interview with her Chew Street home. Yeah, I mean, when you're depressed, you just, you don't really act yourself. You just kind of get angry at everybody. You're stressed out, same thing. Hey, thank you so much, Danielle Burrell. So that's one of those pictures. This is what he might look like today. You know what sucks about this one? There's almost no information. You know, it's just like he was at a store and then he's just disappeared forever. As doctors began to operate Lewis, her bouncy 7-year-old told his babysitter he was going to visit his elderly friend Helen a few doors down from the family Allentown apartment. Okay, so let me look something up here with that. Harold Mackerly, right? I can get the exact house, I think. Yeah, it's got to be 80 at this point, I think. Looks like he might have died in 2014. Maybe. Yeah, Sheila's his wife. Yeah, so this is him. Looks like they've both passed away, both parents at this point. Just grieve them to death, I think. Look at that, 39 months for Zozo up there. There it is, got it right here. 391 Chew Street. Right? Didn't it say 300 block of Chew Street? There you go. Boom. So we just put this in and we get to see now where he was originally. Just right over here. The 39 months that's when membership started on YouTube. That's pretty close, right around the corner, just like they said. Okay, family, let me go up here. A doctor began to operate Lewis, her bouncy 7-year-old, told his babysitter he was going to visit an elderly friend, Helen, a few doors down from the family Allentown apartment in the 300 block of West Chew Street. He ducked into a nearby hot dog shop for 25 minutes. What was the first one again? Was it this one? Let me look. I don't remember if this is the... It's 16. No. There it is. So it's Marco's Hot Dogs. That's going to be this one right here. That's probably Marco himself sitting right there. And so that is... That's Marco's hot... This is Marco's Hot Dogs right there. 427. So he's right there. He was never seen again. So it says, he ducked into a nearby hot dog shop for 45 minutes, seeking refuge from the taunts of neighborhood children, then left, a witness said. So that's one of those weird ones, like, so they're not involved with it? He was never seen again. That was 20 years ago today. I had a very eerie feeling, Sheila Mackerly recently recalled. When I came home from the hospital, they told me he was missing. Mackerly recovering from surgery. Let's see. Let me go to A4 now. These are different pictures, but I mean, like I said before, look at the parents just 19 years after this other one. I think that's it right here. I don't know where it is now, but they look so much younger right after it happened, and then they just probably just ate them alive, and then they died at, you know, somewhat younger ages. Yeah, I mean, she was born in 1951 and died in 2018, which is really, I mean, you know, it's 49, 59, 67. That's not really that old these days. So, probably both the same. And he died even before that. So she was hanging in there, wanting to get answers, but it probably ruined their lives, you know? Now, Lewis, who was on the new drug Ritalin to control his rambunctious ways, often roamed the streets chatting with passerbys. But it wasn't like Lewis to miss dinner. Worried, the Mackerlys contacted police only to be told they'd have to wait 24 hours. Yeah. What no one knew was Lewis was about to join the small cadre of children snatched by stranger children like 6-year-old Eaton Patz, who disappeared from a New York City street corner on his way to school in 1979, and 6-year-old Adam Walsh, which started the Knick-Knack Adam Walsh case, who was kidnapped and killed in 1981. Thanks to Patz and Walsh cases, a new sense of urgency over missing children was emerging. Lewis' photograph, who would eventually become one of the first in the nation to appear with the word missing on milk cartons, shopping bags, menus, and billboards. Yes, this is more just about the family and struggling. I don't fight tears anymore. I almost read the cholesterol thing over here, which had nothing to do with anything. God, see, this is just one of those ones that's had articles, but there was really no solid information. Just he disappeared, walking, just heading that way. So here's a NewsNation actually did a piece on it in 2022, December, so really only about 5 months ago. Let's see what that says. Louis Anthony Mackerly disappeared in broad daylight from a quiet street in Allentown, Pennsylvania. In 1984. The idea of a 7-year-old boy plucked off the streets in a quiet neighborhood shook the country to its core. Nearly 4 decades later, the case remains unsolved. It was 1984 and Louis' disappearance came as America was first learning the term stranger danger in the wake of Adam Walsh kidnapping and murder. Louis' case drew national attention. Just 5 months earlier, the smiling first grader had reported he was molested at a park and along a river near his home. Louis told his school counselor and school psychologist that he had been at least one time, possibly more, sexually abused by 2 people, a man and a woman, who identified themselves as Frank and Elizabeth, said Barry Giacob, a retired detective who spent years on the case. They told him that if he told anybody that he would disappear, Harold recalled. On June 7, 1984, Louis left his house, heading around the corner to the home of an elderly neighbor, but something scared him and he ran in the other direction to a local sandwich shop. Those are those kids. Louis told the owner he was being chased by a couple of boys, but police later questioned if that was really the case. Maybe he was scared of that elderly couple. He just didn't want to say. The obvious question that you have to ask is what scared him enough to run in there to seek shelter. But police said they contacted those 2 boys. After 45 minutes, Louis left the shop but never arrived home. So the abductor must have saw him go into the shop, and they literally just waited outside until he finally left. After about 45 minutes, Louis left the shop but never arrived home. The reports were that he'd gotten into a blue station wagon with a couple, and that was the last anybody had ever seen him. Investigators combed through tips but were never able to confirm anything about Frank and Elizabeth. We had an entire police department working on this case, and none of the tips provided the information that we needed. Harold said he was often mistaken for his brother. Several times, the Allentown Police Department were called. I'd be playing in Allentown somewhere, and they would come pick me up thinking that I was Louis. The kidnapping changed his family forever. Family vacations stopped. We no longer went anywhere and did anything because back in the day we didn't have cell phones, so we had to be near a phone, Harold said. No, they made it to the championships, you mean. American lady. But yeah, I think the Denver Nuggets are the best team in the NBA by a mile. And I think Nikola Jokic is the best player in the entire NBA, and he's been that for 3 years. But no, they didn't win the finals. So if you're from Denver, American lady, just realize that you won the Western Conference Finals. You still have to play for the World Championship and probably against the Miami Heat. Okay? So I don't want to give you a bummer, but they didn't win the World Championship. They won the Western Conference Finals likely for the first time. But yeah, I mean, Joker is he's absolutely by far the best player in the NBA. His IQ, the shooting, passing, how he gets everybody else involved, way better. Yeah, anyways, stop. We no longer went anywhere and did anything. Okay. The apartment building had those windows out front, the rounded ones. My mom would watch me actually go into another person's house, and I would still have to call, let them know. See, those types of events ruin life for everybody. But congratulations, American lady, that you guys made it to the finals. Look at that. You said they won the NBA finals. Well, you might be right, though, because I think they're going to win against Miami. So maybe you're being prophetic. Is that what it is? Lewis case would return to the headlines on birthdays and anniversaries, and when Lewis became one of the first missing kids to appear on milk cartons. Then a New York private investigator joined the search and was later arrested and convicted of soliciting young boys for photographs. Oh my God. A New York private investigator joined the search for this missing kid, and then he was arrested. What a sick... Jeez. Tips pointed to an alleged cult in Ohio where nothing was found, and there were never any answers for Lewis's parents. It was very frustrating. Fortunately, there were no answers that we could provide them with that were any we could provide them with that were any consolation to them. God, why there's some of this writing, I just don't get it. There were no answers that we could provide them with, that were any consolation to them. Age progression photos have been updated through the years, but Harold says 4 decades later, his face is probably a better match, and he never gives up hope the phone will ring. Lewis, if you're out there, you look like this. Call me. Allentown Police declined NewsNation's request to be interviewed for the report. Anyways, I think that's going to do it, you guys. I don't really have anything else to cover, and if you guys want to play the newspaper game that we haven't played in a long time for an hour, try to find an elusive, some sort of a crazy case that we've never covered, and it can't be one. We already did the Idaho News. The crazy case that we you come up with something in there. But if you don't want to do it, just let me know. I mean, I don't have to do that either. Just trying to figure out a way to get to the goal. If we don't get to the goal, though, it's nothing. But I could sure give it a shot, There isn't Idaho News. It's just he went to the... You posted a link on it earlier in another place. What do you mean? I don't get it. Yeah, he had a hearing today. And he did he stood silently, and that means he's automatically given a not guilty plea. But people think that he's using that to make it seem, because if he says, I'm not guilty, and then later pleads guilty, they might hold resentment towards him if he makes a plea deal to not get the death penalty. All right, so they're saying that was a good idea. That's all there was, yeah. I just played the 15 minutes of the court hearing, and that was it. So does anybody want to do the newspaper game? So it's a super chat game where you send in a search terms for newspapers.com, and then we try to find a cold case, but it isn't going to be one that you already know about, but you want to sort of try to find it. Just think of like weird terms. Although I could just tell by the way the chat isn't even moving that it doesn't seem like it's that intriguing. Ah, man. My tooth is a little bit sore. Well, it's a super chat game, so what you do is you type in, let's see. Yeah, so on newspapers.com here, I'm just gonna get me to the other screen. I like this one. You type in a phrase like, headless body found,
Please hit that thumbs up. Thanks, Gray and Freaks.
or dismembered body, or something that leads to something unusual. But everybody always types in words without putting in the super chats, because that's what this one's for. So when you got an idea, that's where you send it in like that. That's what let's see, Linda Howe, please hit welcome Kimberly Duder to Freak 101. It's just whatever you want to type in, but you know how it searches, right? Like if I went like this, headless body found barn, I bet you, like if I put that in there, somewhere out there, headless body found in barn. I mean, this one's from 1928. This one over here is headless body found in barn. That's in Angola, Indiana in 1928 also. And so these are all the same one. See, identified headless body. See all those? Yeah, but that's not a super chat there, Zozo. Hey, Udini said body found missing, all fingers and toes. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Will it come up with something? Will it come up with something? Body number 2 had been ends of toes missing. Yeah. Let me think of a better way to word that. Body found. How about limbs? How about just, limbs were missing, fingers or something. Ottawa stall led to, what does it say? Shocked by their arrival were missing limbs, fingers, or toes. Ottawa stall. Let's see. Shocked by their arrival were missing. That's the same one. Yeah, I mean the same story comes up for all of these. That's funny. Well, almost there, Eugenie, almost. We almost found something. Marlene said, bag of bones on a beach. Wow, is that like the triple B's? Like Kohberger, K-bar killer, Kohberger the K-bar killer. This is bag of bones on a beach. What does it say? Structure bulldozer unearthed some bags of bones. There's no beach, but the surf pounds. What the hell? So this is 1968, somewhere in Hawaii. What does it say here? At the edge of the hotel's parking lot is a fenced-off area with the sign "Kapu," keep out or taboo graves. It marks the site of a royal burial ground uncovered. Oh, okay. So it's a burial ground uncovered.
4 words: prison, strangled, Epstein who?
That's the same one. What did you say? Alright, I'm going to move on to the next one. Bag of, I think it would be something else like bones were found on a beach. I don't know. Sorry, that's a hard one. It's hard to get past your poetry, your rhyme. Dead woman bound to a tree. That's probably going to be something. Let's see. Actually, it probably would say dead woman tied to tree. Because bound would be more like the hands were tied together. That's when they usually use that one. Let's see. The police discover the body of those missing young women tied dead to a tree. So what's this one? Oh, is this a movie or missing really good creep? That's Morgan Freeman. It must be about a movie. Jungle mass massacre of 150 Australians, native girls and white women murdered. That's from 1945. Let's see. Hunters find man's body tied to a tree. Transient's body tied to tree found burned. Okay, here's one. 1914 here. Many black. It's weird when you pull up an article and it has like that old derogatory term in it like that. Let's see. So what does it say right here? Girl's body tied to a tree. He returned to find her naked body tied to a tree, her hands sliced off. She lived long. Well, what the story is this? The trouble was over an Indian girl, Nazada. She was looked upon as the most beautiful girl in the community. Clarence William, a New Orleans black man, won her from her father at playing dice, and the two set up housekeeping. Last Thursday, William went to work, leaving her alone in the house. He returned to find her naked body tied to a tree, her hands sliced off. She lived long enough to accuse Zerl and two other men. That night, Williams blew Zerl's head off with a shotgun. Half an hour later, the black man killed Pedro, a friend of Zerl said to have been implicated in the mutilation of Nazda. Gee, what a ridiculous story that one turned out. Thanks, Kathy Chapin. All right, we've got Wonder Woman here said, let me see if there's any, there's got to be more to this. This one's probably got 1 million. All right, this is Oklahoma, 1980. Police found a body tied to a tree in a hilly, wooded area Wednesday, and authorities said it was that of 88-year-old kidnapping victim Ella Shelton. Wow, 88 years old, tied to a tree.
Woman murdered by chicken leg stuffed down her throat.
The state medical examiner's that sounds like one Zozo would type in. I can't even see it, so let me scroll down there. Oh my God, it was Mickey Duff. The state medical examiner's office said it had no details on the manner or time of death of Mrs. Shelton, who was abducted on March 13th. This is April 10th. But FBI agent John Warren said investigators believe the body had been at the scene for 22 or 23 days. Nathan E. Kohberger, 25, of Midwest City, is charged with extortion and kidnapping. FBI spokesman John Warren said Kohberger frequented the area where the body was found and had friends living in the vicinity. Harold Manuel, owner of the property where the body was found, said he had seen a man matching Kohberger's description and another man riding a dune buggy in the area. Mrs. Shelton, daughter of Jules Shelton, a vice president of Fidelity Bank, The FBI said Kohberger, who moved to the Oklahoma City area from Ohio about a year ago, was in the construction business. Shelton was found lying on her back with a pillowcase over her head. What the hell? Why did she get killed? That's crazy. 88-year-old lady just...
Body found in Halloween horror house.
Well, here's another one. That was probably a pretty good treasure trove. That's a perfect one. Body tied to tree. So, teacher's body tied to tree, 1981. A body found tied to a tree in Franklin County on Saturday has been identified as that of a missing Peace College professor, Mary Schwartzman. Robert Pence, agent in charge of the FBI office in Charlotte, also confirmed that the body was Mrs. Shortman, but declined to release any details about the case. He said an autopsy was conducted Sunday. Mrs. Swartman's body was found Saturday by 2 hunters in a soybean field. Bobby Barfield said he and Jerry Alford found the body shortly after 4 p.m. So what's her name? Now I got it. Mary Schwartman. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this one now. Mary Schwartman. It's gotta be the only one that ever shows up. Okay, so when was this one? This one was March 2nd, 1981. This one is February 18th, 1981. Police link missing professor to new slang. Oh boy, is she part of a... What's going on here? Police are investigating the possibility the Sunday abduction and murder of William N. Davis is linked to the disappearance of a North Carolina college professor and the armed robbery of a small grocery in Petersburg last week. Investigators said they also are trying to locate a black man wearing a clerical collar who witnesses said stopped at the market where Davis worked on London Bridge Road. Let's see what the disposition of this ends up being. So this one is March 2nd, March 3rd, March 19th, maybe that one's farther. No right to life. To the other, capital punishment continues to be a very controversial subject. Crimes such as the tragic and senseless murder of Peace College professor Mary Schwartman reinforce my conviction. Alright, let me do one last search up here. It doesn't really... Come on! Let's see, 1983. Are you in this one? Okay, well now this is 2 years later. Okay, there you go. So I think it's Cleveland Harris 30 of Zebulon pleaded guilty Tuesday to murdering a Peace College professor in 1981 as photographers filmed the hearing, the North Carolina's first use of courtroom booths in a criminal proceeding. A camera clicked as former Raleigh police detective Gerald Mack read Harris' confession that he sexually assaulted Mary Schwartman, 58, and then tied her to a tree so she would strangle. Well, there you go. We got the answer to that one. Yeah, not good, not good. Alright, so that was Wonder Woman's up there, and then we're down to Dobby Smith. 4 words: prison, strangled, Epstein, who? Well, that's not going to work in here. I'll type it in. Let's see what it shows up. It's not going to work, though. This is newspapers.com, and he had... Let's see, maybe. Well, 1919. Catherine Epstein. Yep, I gave it a shot there, Dobby. Nothing in there. And Daphne, woman murdered by a chicken leg stuffed down her throat. Okay, I'm going to just use those words. The letters on the watch correspond with the letters found on the handkerchief stuffed in the murdered woman's throat. Okay, not a chicken leg. Not a chicken leg. Well, that one doesn't work. Sorry about that. Mickey Duff, body found in clown outfit. So the murder victim's a clown? I don't know. Oh, this is Gacy, right? Clowning around can often be hard work. Oh, that's different. Was that him? Who is this guy? Gene Daglia. Man, he's like... oh, man, they may look into that guy. Holy crap. Ew. Murder victim wearing clown outfit. How about... Wait, hold on. Final adjustment to his clown outfit. That's not it. No, doesn't work. Valet discovers dead body in car. How about just valet discovers body? I think that has a better chance of... And then, because they drive cars, right? 1922, noted attorney is found dead. Valet discovers body of Levi Myers in apartment. So that's a little different, but that's still, you know, interesting, right? Levi Meyer, prominent attorney who for years has represented some of the nation's biggest interests, was found dead Monday in his apartment in the Blackstone Hotel. And that was 1922. What's this one? Sees drama, then commits suicide. Bullet entered temple. Valet discovers body. And the Philadelphia police conduct investigation. 1925. Miami mayor. Let me just go like this. How about 1965 to 1990. Sounds like there was a lot of people found by valets back in the day. Yep, doesn't look like it. So, was that it? Alright, you guys. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm gonna go, I don't know, watch some TV or something. Appreciate you guys for showing up. Thank you to, let's see. Yeah. See, I kind of was hoping, like, when people play this, it was more serious, you know? Like, they were actually trying to get somewhere instead of just the goofiest thing you can type in. Oh, I skipped yours? Where was yours?
Was just trying to think of something really weird.
Oh.
Would have been great
Oh,
if
okay.
we found something.
Sorry about that. Let me try that one. Body found in Halloween horror house. Thanks for letting me know. Problem with that one though is there's so many stories about just Halloween and Halloween shops, so you'd have to word it differently than that. Let's see, like something like real body found in Halloween house of horrors. I didn't think I spelled Halloween right there, though. I don't know, American Lady. I'm not seeing it up there. Anything. I mean, it doesn't even go to the next. There's no other page. So let me just say. Maybe it doesn't have to be Halloween.
Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Dismembered body, Snake
Oh.
River.
Who's this going to be? Police proof. Okay, what's this one? Police today revealed they have unearthed a 9th body in Gloucester House of Horrors in a cellar where 4 bodies had previously been found. Is this the clown? High-tech radar equipment used to find the 8th body on Monday pointed, well, this is 1994, so he was before that. Detectives to search inside 25 Cromwell Street, the former home of alleged killer Frederick West. Wow. So another serial killer there. So kind of in a halfway led to that one. American lady. Look at that. 9th body in House of Horror. Just wasn't on Halloween. And maybe this is Gacy here, right? No, this is London police tore floorboards, frame pipes, and the yard of a house of horror today, looking for victims of a mass killer who reportedly strangled up to 16 drifters, then chopped up and boiled their bodies. What? Scotland Yard said a suspect was being questioned in the killing of 3 young men whose chopped up and boiled remains were found in a sewer, and then a search. Ah, no, I've never heard of this one. Who the hell's this guy? Ah, Jesus, what's the Kline update? That's what the rewind button's for. But yeah, the Kline update is that his lawyer has left him, and that, you know, he interviewed with the murder sheet, and they told he said that he thinks his dad's the one that was using the other phone now, and, you know, blah 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 blah. Yeah, we went through the whole thing earlier. I want to finish playing this for people who join in playing the game. Right? Police cars kept the curious away from the building, dubbed by the newspaper. I mean, have you guys ever heard of this guy right here? Have you guys ever heard of this? "16 bodies and he boiled them up"? I mean, what the hell's going on here? This is 1983. So look at that, American lady. It led to this. I'm going to store this one. So hold on a second. I'm going to put that off to the side. That one might actually end up being interesting at some point. Let's see, 05, 23. All right, definitely check that one out. See what's going on there. That's like one of the worst things I've ever heard. 16 bodies boiled up. All right, where were we at? So did we ever make it down to? Daphne says, "Was just trying to think of something really weird. Would have been great had we found something." Well, yeah. And there's a lot of really weird stuff out there, but you got to think of, like, how would a newspaper word that, and then, you know, how would an article word something? And especially works well if you put the quotes on all the sides. So body, house of horror. So it has to be in that order in an article. So House of Horror, case in court, you know, horror house, 12th body. That's the same guy. That's the... Yeah, there it is. Gloucester. Yeah, so now they're up to 12. They found 4, then 8, and then 12. I'm going to put this one over there too. Sounds like I got some serial killers. See, you guys did it exactly how the game is played. You found serial killers. Alright, that's exactly what we were trying to do. Teen goes missing while babysitting. Okay, that's one I hadn't done yet. Valet discovers dead body. Teen goes missing while babysitting. I've seen those stories. I'd probably just put, like, girl. They wouldn't say teen. Girl vanishes while babysitting. Full tribe, baby. God, that's the story though. How about girl abducted while babysitting? I think that's going to have something. Yeah, there you go. See? Girl abducted while babysitting and slain. 1976. A 16-year-old girl who was babysitting on New Year's Eve was abducted and slain in a nearby park area. So that's a serial killer. Sometimes they just do the one, but who does something that? The body of Judy Farrow was found in the Lola Park area an hour after she was reported missing by the couple for whom she was sitting. Mr. and Mrs. David Lotz told police that when they returned home at 3 a.m. from a New Year's party, they found the girl gone, her coat on the floor, and the telephone line in the house ripped off the wall. The Lotz' 2 small children were asleep in their beds. Police said the girl's body was discovered by patrolman Tom Strett, one of the score of officers who had joined the hunt for the girl. Police said she was fully clothed and that she apparently had been shot once in the head. Officers said the Farrow girl lived on the block from lived a block from the Lotz house. Well, let's see what happened to her. Does it have that? Judy Farrow. Oh, don't talk this. Is this? Ooh. This one says, Judy Farrow, don't talk to strangers. Jeffrey Epstein was accused of sex trafficking. I don't know what that is. Okay, Oakland County child killer. Wow, that's one of those, huh? Jeez. That was a serial killer victim right there. Man, you guys are like killing it tonight, right? I mean, 12. Suspected, 17. Yeah, there it is. Judy Farrow right there. Disproved. Oh, so this one is disproved from that person. 16-year-old Judy Farrow was found beaten and strangled on January 1st, 1976, when she vanished between midnight and 3 a.m. In the morning from her customer's family home she had been babysitting the previous evening. A Redford Township policeman discovered Farrow's body at 7 a.m. in the morning, fully dressed, when he learned that Gary Pervinkler, 19, had left his home the same evening with a gun and his father's automobile. He was identified as a prime suspect on April 7, 1976. Pervinkler's body was discovered. He had shot himself in the head. The firearm found next to Farrow's body matched a bullet casing discovered in the house from where Farrow was abducted. Her case was closed. Well, that makes sense. Probably should bring this over here anyways. Yeah, this is one of the first nights where people actually, you guys type stuff in and it was like, boom, actually leading to, so what do we got up here? John Dunn said dismembered body, Snake River. All right. Didn't forget about you, John Dunn. If anybody has any more they want to do, you got another 29 minutes. Or not. Let's see. Yeah, so this is, we've already, I mean, I bet you John Dunn already knew of a case. So he, dismembered body found in Snake River near Clarkston. It sort of sounds familiar. A head, leg, and arm were found Sunday in the Snake River as FBI agents and more than 20 law enforcement officers from 2 states continue a murder investigation hampered by rattlesnakes and darkness. There's no question that we're dealing with a homicide here. The search began Saturday night after a Lewiston fisherman found a headless torso with numerous puncture wounds and a leg about 50 yards apart in the water by the shore of the Snake River, half-mile west of Chief Timothy State Park. Nez Perce County Sheriff Ron Kepper said the body parts are being shipped to a pathologist in Wenatchee, Washington for identification. Meanwhile, searchers had to cope with snakes. One rattlesnake was killed Saturday night but on Sunday they were more interested in going the other way because of daylight. The nude torso appeared to be that of a female, Martin said. No clothing was found, authorities said. God, I wonder if she's ever been identified. Probably really difficult, being nude and no head or... Huh. It's the same. I don't know where the rest of that went. Guess what? That you already thought of a case and went right to that one? Well, that lady's been identified? Is that what you're saying? Or what are you saying yes to? Special agent in charge of the FBI Idaho Montana office in Butte said the probe has been stymied since the discovery of Kristen David's dismembered body in the Snake River. Ms. David appeared June 26 while riding her bicycle from Moscow to Lewiston. Huh. Well, that's the same, you know, the Idaho case right there. Moscow, Idaho to Lewiston. I think Kristen David one might be one that we covered. I think that was part of that serial killer down there. Pretty sure we've done Kristen. Let me see. Like the Lewis and Clark Trail murders or something. Something like that. Yeah, right there. See? There it is. Lewis and Clark Valley murders. Kristen Diane Nelson, Kristen David, and Christina Lee White. So maybe those are all related. Yeah, we covered that one. Gotta go back and watch that one. It was a good one. You know what I'm saying? Alright, you guys. Sounds like nobody's playing now. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. It was my last gasp in here to try to make it happen, but you guys beat it by so far last night, it doesn't really matter. Let's see, www.streamlabs. Oh, there's another one. Woman suspected in daughter-in-law death. Huh? You mean, wouldn't that be mother?
Woman suspected in daughter-in-law death.
I think you would just say like mother. Is this a random one, or are you wanting me to find the specific case? I know it would be mother-in-law, but it's just the word mother's there, so it sort of takes up all that. No, basically, all you have to do is go like this. You don't need mother of any kind, right? Because if you say suspected in daughter-in-law's death, it's either going to be a father or a female or a male, which would be the father-in-law or the mother-in-law, right? Yeah, it gets it confusing when you try to throw in exact words and things. So maybe if you go like that, nothing. And I bet you daughter-in-law isn't really. Is daughter-in-law got the dashes in it like this? I'm just wondering. Yeah, I think so. Ah, man, almost. Yep, doesn't really just pop up there. Sorry about that, Daphne. Actually, let me just leave the word daughter-in-law. Well, no, that's going to be 1,000 stories. Forget it. Daughter-in-law murder. It's a show. Probably another television, yeah. Yep, those are all just coming up with television programs. So there we are. There is Blue and Chloe hanging out in the background there. Right, let's see if it works. Yeah, whenever this game gets into the joke category, it always fades away really quick. Super chats: Jessica Schubach, Allie Later, Hair Down D, Eugenie, Mickey Duff, Allie Cake, Your Gypsy, K-Me, Shogun Love, Glory Batari, Betty Smith, Lee, Yee, Persephone's Pomegranate, Wendy, Peppercorn, Jeffrey Hausauer, Peter Music Maker, John Dunn, Danielle Burrow, American Lady, Linda Howell, Marlene Stewart, Kathy Chapin, Wonder Woman, Dobby Smith, Daphne, Dina Tall. And we had a subscription of Linda Heidemann. Members, Your Gypsy, Claire B. Those are, anytime you post it using your thing, it shows up there. Okay. Doesn't mean you joined today, it means you. Yeah, it's kind of fun. American Lady kind of helps get some funds going into the channel, and also could find some. I got 3 links out of it. That was pretty good. Alright, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do a spin, but thank you guys. Appreciate you guys being here tonight and supporting the channel. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning on day number 33 of the Jodi Arias trial that we do in my time in the morning. And yeah, so there you go. Alright, everybody, thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow, and as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. Right, Blue? All right, sir.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. inspector. Professor Gregor's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. Alright, everybody? Talk to you later.